Climbing. There's truth. We got more. So, hey, everybody, I am so freaking stoked. I really didn't sleep well last night. I was so excited about today. This is my version of I Have a Dream. And, again, I've done my thank yous to Daniela and Rachel, but I really want to thank you for investing time. And this is a labor of love. And what I want to convey or I want you to hear is this didn't happen overnight. Just like anything that, your Mount Everest of the moment, whatever it is you're climbing, whatever your next big thing, it seems really big until you're on the top and you look over your shoulder and you're like, hey, I mean, it's big, but it's here I am. And everything looks different from the top. But from the top, you see the next mountain. And so this was my seasonal Everest, if you will, for the last, gosh, I'm going to say 14, 15 months. It's not a new idea. And Transformation for Good started with two thoughts. One was my love and fondness for young people. Even in writing the book I wrote, Stop Settling, as much as I believe it's current and applicable to any age group, it was really written to a young me, a 20, 25, 30-year-old me. And there's always that inner voice of suspicion or doubt of like, who really wants or needs this? And it seems a little redundant, or maybe it's just common knowledge. But as I turned 60 in November, which I don't know how that happened, but I did. And I guess I ate right and did enough to stay alive. But the time just flew. And if you're not 60 yet, just know it's coming for you. And as I was, a year and a half ago, my fondness for kids, again, it led me down the path of how can I make a difference and live the life of a role model and be a better steward of the resources and the gift of life and the gift of, my capacity. And so my good buddy Dave Pridemore came to me with an opportunity to invest in a programming strategy for them where they're building pickleball courts at Camp Grace. And those that don't know Camp Grace, you can find it. Google Camp Grace. They do some amazing work with young people. If you can afford to go to camp, you can't go to his camp. It is truly for the at-risk, less fortunate. It's spiritually grounded and based, and it's a beautiful thing. And he needed a lot of money. And I'm like, that's cool. And I'd love to give a lot of money. And I do give regularly and have for 20 years. It's been kind of my go-to number one, and I still support others. But long story short, I went to bed with this, and what I believe is the subconscious brain is a riddle solver. And depending on the quality of the question, you're going to get the quality of answer that aligns with that. And your brain doesn't know made up from real. And so if you watch the bleeding or cutting edge news, or listen to the negative, narrative that sometimes permeates our world and our friends and our spheres, that's the processing data that you have at hand. But this was a really good question. And the question was, God, how do I bring my talents and my skills to the table, create heightened awareness for what I believe to be a noble project, but also create something that has lasting legacy or potential to ripple effect through the lives of many. So instead of just one to one, how can it be one to many? And how do I create some tribal energy around making a difference? And I woke up in the middle of the night with this Transformation for Good stuck in my head. And that became the logo, and that became the branding name. And the good is a double entendre, meaning good for, the youth of Atlanta and beyond and regional. And then also good for you. And I also like the transformation term, and I like the idea of permanence, which for good stands for like re-engineering some of the habits and maybe the psychology of how you approach things. And so that's how it was born. There is a price attached to the programming, and I can explain that later, but I want you to hear this too. It's 100% donated, 100% to charity. And by the way, the last 14 months weren't, I started out saying it's been a labor of love. It wasn't because I'm a slow learner or didn't want it faster. It just took time for me to develop how I wanted to roll it out, what the key components and pieces, what does the technology look like to enhance the experience and automate some of it, but also create some accountability for you without me having to pick up a phone every day and call you. And so it took evolution. It took not just one, but two professionals, actually three, because I had a graphic artist and a marketing person. I had to find domains and make sure I have that. I had landing page work to do. I had that landing page that I'm going to talk about in a minute. It's one of the cooler things I feel I've created or had the vision to create, had to hire someone who can do programming. And then my coach, Tom Ruich, incredibly talented person, had to turn me on to technology to integrate three different systems for it to work. And so just know there was a lot going on. And much like building wealth and much like reinvention, it's slow and then sudden. And so this was very slow for me in many cases. I'm like, this is not going to get off the ground. I don't know when and how and where, and I need this. And then I kept running into roadblocks and stumbling points. And then, deep breath and some clarity. And I'm like, I'll just climb over that and that'll be the next hurdle. And so I'm excited to say I've got it ready. This is, in defense, a pilot program in that it probably won't work once or twice. And it probably will, I'll find flaws thanks to your participation. But together, I think we can build something with lasting power that I think could change the world only because it changes you. And if you're changed, the people around you change and the ripple or butterfly effect. It's a beautiful thing when it works that way. And I believe in this. And so there's the origin. Then I had to think about, and so if you're starting any new endeavor, one of the first things you should consider, one is what is the value proposition? What's the way that you plan to execute and share that proposition? And then ultimately, what's the avatar? And is there alignment? And so as I was pondering the avatar for today, it's my tribe. My people are realtors, lenders, people that have to hunt to eat, people that typically strive for more, people that want to give more than they get, who recognize that you're only as good as the relationships you build and the quality inside of those relationships, who recognize the conversation is the relationship. And so if you're not the avatar for this, no expectation, no worries. You can bail anytime. You can hit exit and I won't be offended. You can also join. There's no contract. This is a labor of love and I'm here to add value. If ever you wake up and like, I'm not getting what I want or need, hit the eject button. And so just know that's true. So I thought it was fun for me to posture who's not the avatar. So if you're, again, working on a new endeavor or business aspect to your year coming forward, maybe take a minute and decide who's not, and for me, the avatar that's not mine, and by the way, this avatar is aligned really well with building my real estate career early on. And, I want motivated, kind, thoughtful, energizing people that add value. There's lifters and there's leaners in the world. Have you guys heard about those two terms? Lifters are the ones that show up and when they leave, you're a better human being. You're more energized. There's an element of feeling the gift of someone's presence. And so I want lifters. I want people that show up not because they have to, but because they want to, and ultimately have to because the want to is so big. And so just know it's not people who, eat just enough to survive or, exercise just enough not to completely lose their capacity to move around. I want people who are hard charging, who want more, who are striving, who also recognize that if the law of reciprocity and contribution truly exists, you can't give away what you don't have. And so I wake up every day with this mindset that if I don't self develop and grow, I will limit my capacity to one, serve myself, more importantly, serve others. Because if you have to hunt to eat, your capacity to give more than you get will lead to massive riches and massive legacy and reward. And so just know as you ponder, is this for you? Are you the avatar? Are you striving for more? Are you hungry for better? Do you recognize that if you improved 1% in each category for 365 days, the likelihood of waking up a different person a year from now is truly tangible and exists. And I don't want to overstate it, but I don't want to trivialize it. But it doesn't have to be complicated or hard. I don't think life's easy, but I also, as I've matured and run through walls and bounced off things, I've realized it's not complicated. It's really not when you break it down into bite-sized pieces. And that's the purpose of why I'm doing this. Help you break down life in bite-sized pieces and then help create an environment that we all grow into and grow with. And then some tools and resources to help hold you accountable and true to your voice. And I think the idea is progress over perfection. And ultimately, you'll decide how hard you want to push. And just as a starting place, anybody on the call that wants to turn on their monitors or their cameras, man, it's a gift. The more faces I see, the more energized I feel. And I want this to be a relational experience. I realize this is session one, and maybe you got up a little later, or you're working in your workout clothes, or whatever it is that would prevent you from turning it on, or your technology challenge. There's Kay. I'm non-judgmental, but I'm absolutely hopeful that the real you shows up. I did put on my special Get It Done shirt today. I hope you noticed. I'm really being silly. I just grabbed a shirt and went, this shirt's going to be perfect because I'm going to show up and be ready to get it done. So my goal is that, you prove yourself right this year, that I would say show of hands, but I know the answer. How many of you have set goals for, your life for the coming year and crushed all of them? And I can't raise my hand. How many of you set goals and come up short? And, there's no flaw in coming up short if your intention was to do well. But what if I helped push the needle? What if I helped push the ball down the field so that you stay a little more aware, a little more cognizant, a little more intentional, a little more accountable, and you end up in a better place? And so I have an example, by the way. Every year I do this with my friends, and it's called the Plus One Challenge. I think Luke probably knows about this. Those that don't know, Luke Hale happens to be my son, and I appreciate you being on the call today. I appreciate all of you, but it's really cool when your kids show up. But every year I have about 5 friends, and we do this plus one thing, and it's simple. Like, I try to keep things simple. It's hard when things get convoluted and complicated. It's easy to get lost in the noise. And the simple health initiative I come up with every year lands in the same place: push-ups, sit-ups, and squats. I don't know if you guys realize, but if you do those 3 things every day, you're probably gonna build muscle strength, mobility, dexterity, and then do a little bit of stretching. And it doesn't require a gym, and it was fun to do, and it's fun to do every year. But and by the way, we start at 25, and every day we add one. And so that's like the building blocks. So, by the 30th day in, you're doing 55 push-ups, 55 sit-ups, 55 squats, and then a little bit of stretching and some mind work. And it's a beautiful thing. But here's what happens. Every year, somewhere around August, July, August, September, we get up to a real number that's hard, like near 100. But here's the rule. You don't have to do them all at the same time. You can do them throughout the day. But you know how hard it is to stay focused and go back to something once you set it down? And so inevitably, this text chain of celebration, and truthfully, more often than that, shame, because hey, losers, you didn't do it. It's fun in that regard. It's a bunch of guys. It just falls short. And I know from my experience that happens. And it's usually either somewhere in the summer or late summer where you just kind of lose your focus, you get distracted, take a trip or two, work starts to escalate, and it starts to take over some of the other things in your world. And I want to be your safety net. I want to be the person that calls you out in a loving way to go, hey, remember when you set this goal? How do we recover? What's the rebound? You can take breaks. You can counterbalance. You can lose sight. The catch is, can you do it before December, so that in December, at the end of December or January 1st of 2027, are you going to wake up high-fiving me and high-fiving the team and high-fiving yourself because you got it done? And so that's the premise behind Transformation for Good. And just a reminder, I make zero money. And I'll be perfectly honest. It's like I wanted, in a perfect world, 70 people show up and do this, and we generate over $100,000 in revenue for at-risk youth charities. And by the way, half the money I intend to send to Camp Grace, and I hope you guys are okay with that. The other half, I want us to have a couple of guests come on, or you guys can vote up or recommend other youth-oriented, ministries or sources of need. It could be homeless women with children. That's something I'm fond of idealistically, and I've helped with. And so I think it's cool that it's not a me, it's a we thing, and we get to decide where the other half goes. And being perfectly transparent, 100% transparent, the idea of 70 or 80 scared the hell out of me. Not because I can't speak to 70 people. That would be amazing. I'd love to have 700. But part of the programming is going to be some one-on-one coaching. And I've curated a pretty good life at this point. I've built, my real estate empire, little empire and game, and the passive income supports me, and I don't have to show up for work anymore. And I only say that because, not boastful, I promise. In fact, I feel stupid saying it, except that if I don't say it and share it, I think I've stolen an opportunity for you to mimic, model, and emulate. And there's nothing that I've accomplished that I didn't find in the behavior, the head and heart of some other person, a role model, and somebody I looked up to that I learned this early on that, if it's to be, why not me is one of my favorite affirmations. If it's to be, why not me? And you're welcome to write anything down that I say. And then the other thing, and because none of this is mine, it's all borrowed. I'm sure I got that somewhere. I don't remember where. I would give credit. And then the other half of it is, if it's been done before, it can be done again. If it's been done before, it can be done again. And so why can't you finish strong? Why can't you retire at 55 or 50 or pick a number? Why can't you create enough passive income and resources and a safety net of investments? Why can't you build a trust fund and leave a few $1 million to your favorite charity, or maybe a trust that pays for your kids and grandkids and great grandkids, or maybe it's someone in the community you pay for their education. And it's so big that it creates enough income in its own way that the wake it delivers has multi-generational sustainability, so that your legacy is more than just thoughtful words and high fives and hugs. And that's just, that's how I wake up every day going, how do I leave a stronger piece of DNA that's easily identifiable, regularly shared, and replicatable? Easily identifiable, easily replicated, that I share. And so the power of this tribe and this group and the idea behind Transformation for Good is that I'm just one voice out of, so far it's 24 voices. I guess I may be one of them. Is that 23? Do I get two voices? I'm kidding. So that's where it was born. That's the intention. And I'll add one last piece. I want people who show up with integrity, and most people define integrity as say what you do what you say. I think integrity is when you look in the mirror and you ignore the voice of fear and uncertainty, and instead you lean into that voice of, I can be, have, and do anything if I just do the work and grow into the person that honors the path and deserves and earns it. I want that voice to reign supreme this year, not only for you, but in me. So this is also reciprocal. I feel like by contributing and by sharing and creating this environment, I'm going to benefit 10x. And for that, I just thank you, and I'm grateful that you showed up. And the integrity piece of this, instead of just saying what you do and doing what you say, that's part of it. I also define integrity as that voice of greatness that lives inside you actually shows up in your behavior and in your day planner. And I mean, like, with sincere, authentic energy, okay being wrong and out of sorts and not prepared, and do it anyway. It's about progress and not perfection. And I want to help you evolve in your mindset and your self view and what really is possible. Because, I mean, again, sometimes I catch myself and I'm like, God, I sound kind of dorky or hokey or whatever the word is for idealistic. Maybe that's the word. That the world needs more of this. And I could easily sit back, and those that follow me on Facebook, I'm sure you realize I dig fishing. And I don't post my days in the office, but I bet I'm up to what is today? It's only Wednesday, and I think I'm probably 30 hours into work this week prepping, and I'm flying to Orlando tomorrow to speak to. In fact, Jeff Hart's on the call. What's up, my man? I'm speaking, to his group leadership team in Orlando, and so I just don't post those days. I should probably post a day where if I showed you all the paper around me, you'd laugh. So for a guy that's rewired or semi-retired or fill in whatever word you want to use, I'd like to use the word remargined. And so that's where I'm at in life. I could fish 5 days a week, but I can't because my conscience and my intention and my sense, I've got to keep growing and going. And I hope that's the avatar I want inside this circle and inside what we do. And it's if it's 5 minutes, 5 minutes, five people or 15 people or 30, it doesn't matter. And when I said earlier I was terrified that 100 show up, it's only because once a quarter I'm committing to giving you, an hour, and I kind of did the math on 70 or 80 people. I'm like that so much for rewirement and my fishing days. I probably gave a few more away, but I'd like to think it's an investment, and it's just it's baked into the programming. And I'll add this too. If you want more time with me, we'll come up with a strategy that, I want to be there for you. So again, it's a pilot program. We've got some new technology. There's actually three different systems who all who integrate together to make this happen. One is the Stripe system, which is a billing system. And that, just to give you a little bit of a thumbnail of how the complexity that we've had to put together with my team. And again, I think I'm into coaching and tech and graphic design and web and marketing. I think I'm about 12 grand into this. And that's not coming out of what you pay. 100% goes straight to a 501c3 called Heart of Atlanta Cares. It's a 501c I created a decade ago. And that money goes straight to the charities we talked about. But I had to integrate Stripe. We had to integrate a program called Coda, and I'll share in a screen share in a minute a little bit about how Coda works. That's where you're going to have your landing page where you're going to track all 12 spokes in the wheel of life. Those that know me know that I'm a fan of this, gauges on the dashboard and the 12 spokes and kind of keeping an eye on everything. And then there's a program called Zapier that actually communicates between the Coda programming and then Implementum. And Implementum is like my CRM. And Implementum will hold, that's where you'll get all of the automated email distributions, the content flow. And that's yet another hub that everything sits on top of. And so much to my surprise, I think it's all working. I've tested it. And if it doesn't, we will fix it fast. But just know there's a lot that went into it. I think I talked about, and if you want to write this down now, because I don't think I'm going to forget, but should you decide that you are ready for this, and this sounds like something that would be fun, you can sign up and pay $149 a month, or you can pay $1,500 and buy the whole year. And that's a tax deductible donation. You'll get an invoice and a receipt showing your investment. And again, we'll vote up who gets the balance after Camp Grace. I'm excited about that. Transformation, the number 4, GOOD.org. And I'll have Danielle, if you don't mind, Husberg, please type that in. That's where you'll go. You'll give me your information. You'll put in a credit card and decide whether you want to do a monthly scenario that's an auto bill, or if you want to do a one time and you're good for the year. And again, it's a great charity regardless. So let's talk a little bit about what my intention is specifically and how I think you'll benefit. But before I do, anyone have any questions so far? Anybody show up and you're like, I have no idea why I'm here and what I'm doing? No? Everyone feeling energized and excited? Can I just see some smiles, head nods?
This is awesome.
Thanks, man. Thanks. And if throw an emoji or whatever, those little click buttons, those are fun to see pop up. Look at that. There's some hearts, a little bit of festive partying going on up at the top. So here's what I'm committed to doing for you, and then I'm going to share how it's going to happen. Number one, I want to help you get really clear with your vision for this year, and I want to help you work through the entire 12 spoke wheel. And I don't know, did anybody happen to see Mojo Monday this week? Anybody? It's okay if you didn't. I just want to remind you that Brett Caldwell and I, every single week, almost every week, occasionally we do a rerun because there's a holiday or we just don't have the bandwidth, but we record about 20 or 25 minutes of motivational, thought-provoking content just for you. Last week, we talked about the concept of the four burner theory. And all the four burner theory did or says is you take this person basically took the 12 spokes and boiled them or distilled them down into four categories. And it's like health, family, friends, and finance and money. And there's subsets in each of those four burners. But all I want you to hear is the concept. It resonated with me that if you have a gas stove and there's four burners, they can't all burn at 100% at all times. If you want to really heat up and focus on one big rock, you're going to probably have to turn the burner down on another one, or the gas flow, and which is really representative of your capacity, is limited when you burn one burner really hot. And what I wanted you to hear is I'm going to help you get really clear on what burner needs the most heat, what part of your wheel, what area needs the most attention, and then what can you, without regret, turn down and let go, let it go to simmer. Hold on to that for a minute while we really heat it up so that you can invest your time and energy just dominating a few categories. So I'm not talking about perfection in every category. I'm talking about focused intentionality. So I want to help you with your perfect vision for 2026. I want to help you also craft inside of that the ideal perfect day. What does a perfect day look like? And I don't mean a perfect day on vacation, although you should definitely think about that when you're headed to vacation. Don't squander a moment, if you're going to find, recovery time. But what's a perfect day in the office look like? What's the perfect executable? What does the structure, strategy, and approach, what is the mindset, and what's the setup? The other thing I'm really excited about is I'm going to help you get clear with your big why. Show of hands, those that have their screen on, you're really clear on what your big why and internal emotional motivators are. All right, I got 3, 4 hands that went up. So I'm excited to share with you. I found a guy named Gary Sanchez through a networking and entrepreneurship group called GoBundance, where a lot of my ideas come from. This group, by the way, cost me, I'm going to say I put probably 25 grand a year into just that experience. I go on trips, I mastermind, I have a small pod group, a breakout group, my board of directors. A lot of what I've employed here is directly correlated to some of the inspired role modeling I do there. And so I lost my train of thought for a second there, but where was I going? I had a thought.
Your why.
Big why. Big why. Thank you for that. Um, Gary Sanchez spoke and shared this tool. And I thought, there's a lot of personality profiling tools. There aren't really a lot of big why tool. In fact, I don't know of one. And his system's called the BigWhy.os. And it is an expensive corporate tool for companies to buy and use in their consulting because it's one thing to set goals and know your personality. It's another to know, and it's a whole nother level to get really clear in what energy inside you drives motivation and fuel to stay true to those goals. Where remember we talked about integrity, that version of you that's awesome inside shows up on the outside. Because of my relationship with Gary and friendship over a couple of different meetings and trips together, he's agreed to give that to us for free as a donated asset. And so you'll get access to a very expensive tool. And even cooler than that, next month he's my guest speaker who's going to explain how he came about, what's involved, how it works, and how to function inside of it. Like not just, it's one thing to understand why. And there's a saying I've used many times that knowledge for the sake of knowing is good for trivial pursuit. Knowledge for sake of doing is life changing. And so the idea behind this is not just a knowing, but now that you're clearer, how do you put it to work and make sure that you're functioning at your highest capacity? So Gary's going to be on our call next month. So you might want to sign up for a month just to meet Gary and take the YOS. I would hope you'd stay on board longer, but I'm unattached to the outcome. I'm in love with the potential. You should write that down. This is the way to approach everything in life. I'm in love with the opportunity. I'm unattached to the outcome. That means I'm passionate, I'm motivated, I'm going to suit up and show up for you. It's up to you to suit up and show up for yourself. And if you approach cold calling, knocking doors, going into, a new networking environment, walk in with, a stack of cards and, a smile on your face, Just be in love with the opportunity and then unattached to the outcome. How everyone receives it's up to them. It's communication 101. You deliver the right message, the receiver is going to be ready and available. If you fail to deliver the message because you're either fear based, uncertain, or distracted by the noise, you've been robbed of an opportunity. So let that settle in for 1 second. There's also going to be inside of the Implementum system, by the way, the fourth system is it's a portal. It's a community portal, a chat room, and a collaboration area, if you will. And so I don't know how that looks. I don't know how that exactly will play out and how often you would jump in and out of it. But the fact that we might have 25 or 30 really smart people engaged in this programming might actually create a great place for you to brainstorm in a safe environment with people who are like you. Another thing I plan to implement and share with you is something called the One Sheet, and it's another thing I've taken from GoBundance, and I'm excited about this too because it's a one-page snapshot. I think I can screen share this. Let's see if I can do it for fun. There you go. And as you can see, let me see if I can move it up. I hope, can anybody see this?
We can see it.
Okay, cool. For some reason, my settings has me gone. So this is actually mine, and I'm not showing it. I'm just showing you what it looks like. I really meant to draw the blank one, but here it is. And one thing I am is transparent, and I don't mind sharing and showing. I'm like, I believe in authentic transparency. But you can see it's got a whole economic section, a balance sheet. It's basically it's like your personal financial statement meets your goals. And underneath, which is almost more important than the actual numbers on paper, because they're just numbers on paper, there's a section with on health. I don't have mine filled in, so I'm not going to judge you, but if you did, I think it's smart. I've also listed, this is from last year, and what my intentions for bucket list adventures, upcoming. I share, I posted my last year's highlights, upcoming highlights, health and nutrition goals, spiritual and contribution goals. There it is, launch coaching program, raise 100,000 for charity. So how cool is that? That was on last year's goal list, and here we are. Lifestyle and adventure, personal growth, intellectual, financial investments, environment, and tribe. Where's my tribe? And then what do I need help with? What specifically do I need to be held accountable for? And if you'll look, the above launch of Transformation for Good. How cool is it? It was on my dream board or my vision board. And then who's going to hold me accountable? That's my GoPod. That's my board of directors that I am replicating for this group as well. Any questions on that?
In the chat, you guys can find a Google Drive with
How
the
cool is that?
spreadsheet.
So I sent you, hopefully it's not mine, Daniela. It's a blank one that you can then cut and paste.
Yes, yes, it's the
You're
one that
welcome to
you.
use mine, but I can't
No, no,
can't
no.
promise the bank account will work for you if it's you don't know my login.
No, it's the one that you sent me, the two attachments, so everyone
Beautiful.
can have it there.
Fantastic. Fantastic. So here, I just want to give you a quick reminder of the overview. Um, I don't know how to change my view here. Gallery. There we go. I want to see everybody. So there's four key components. One is once a month, we're going to have a 1 hour and probably 10 or 15-minute call. And it's a Zoom just like this. And it's going to be topically driven. I've already outlined the entire year schedule. I've got every single session we're going to do. I already have the guest speaker or the content for that session nailed. I can't wait to share it. It's really good stuff. And we're going to have a little bit of collaboration with each meeting where we break out into small groups, discuss it, and come back and kind of upgrade or top grade the way we see things. We're going to talk about areas of opportunity and areas where people are crushing it so that you get to, you know what R&D is, right? Research and development. No, rip off and deploy. You get to rip off and deploy everyone's best ideas in this group and put them to work. And that's how we're going to quantum leap your perspective and build that back into your plan. The second thing I'm have intention for is subdividing this group into small groups, and those are called pods. And I mentioned that a minute ago. it's a, the way to handle, like if you had a big church and a big group, the way to really create honest, open, reflective environments is in circles, not rows. In other words, small groups. So I'm also going to craft small groups here. We're going to just, and I'm going to randomize it, but you're going to have 4 to 5 people in each group. And my hope is that you would meet once a month, every other week, opposite the 2 week, the once a month big Zoom, so that you don't go a whole month without connecting with this content, your goals, and then the tribe and being able to help others as well. And so I've got a structure and a form for that. The third thing is going to be the Coda programming, and I'm going to share that now. And this is where, remember I told you get a landing page? Hold on, I don't have it up. I'm going to give me a second to bring it up. I had it up and now I don't. One sheet. Need to go here. 1 second. I found it. That's good news. Oh, I see what I'm doing. I've got myself sharing in a weird way. My head is, y'all see me on this? That's kind of funny. I don't think I meant to do that. Can everybody still hear me? Because I can't see you.
Yes, we can hear you.
Beautiful. Can you see this Coda doc?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you for the positive feedback, man. It's the breakfast of champions. So these are all test drives. These are me and my coach going in, going, how do I sign up if I were new to this? And what does it look like? And as you'll see, I've got some pretty fun people that have signed up for the programming, including George Jetson, Barney Rubble, and Fred Flintstone. I think the last one I did was Scooby Doo, my personal favorite. But Fred Flintstone, I went ahead and plugged in his scores this morning. Fred, and so every week I'm going to send you a link and a reminder to go back into Coda and just rate your week. And then every 10 days, you get to go in and reset, retry, and reprogram yourself to be a little more intentional and do 1 or 2 more things to improve your number and your scoring. But the way this will work is you'll just go through and hit the buttons and tab up. See what I'm doing? Are the numbers showing up? There may be a lag.
Yes.
Okay. So as you score all of these, there's an automated system. This is where my brilliant programmer, Caitlin, came in and helped me do this. You'll plug in your email at the bottom and hit submit, and it'll send you your results. The very bottom will also show you your score across the board to see kind of how you're sitting around all 12 categories of the wheel. If you hit the life wheel results, check it out. It auto publishes those on a wheel and shows you how round or fulfilling things are going in the moment. This is one of the areas that I intend to help with coaching and accountability. There's also, as you can see on the left side, hopefully you can see my cursor moving. You'll add your intentions, which we'll talk about. There's a whole session on intentions for goals. Your next 10 things you want for the next 10 days, like what are you chasing? There's an uploadable area for 1 year goals, 5 year goals. There's even a section where you're going to upload your YOS, which is your big Y assessment results or tool, KPA or DISC. The one sheet we talked about, which is a snapshot of your entire world financially, as well as your goals, big rocks, and your intentions for this year that I shared and showed that it changed everything for me once I had something visual in front of me. And then if you wanted to even do an image of your 5 year future self, that's one of the other areas I can help you build and grow into. Does this look cool?
Yeah.
Hello? And so let me stop sharing and come back to you so I can see your beautiful faces. This is just the third phase of what we're doing. And one of the reasons people come up short is they're simply not reminded regularly enough of what they want. You know what to do. You know how to do it more likely than not. But if you don't have regular reminders, the noise will drown out your intention. The noise will interfere. We all get distracted. It's a human thing. And it's not whether you get distracted, it's when. And my goal is to help create some guardrails It's like an 8-lane superhighway with all kinds of opportunity to freestyle and do it your way. But I want big guardrails outside of that that protects you from losing sight of what's most important in 2026 so that you land exactly where you want to land. I talked about the small group, talked about the once a month. There's golden accountability. And the last piece of it's quarterly coaching with me. I bet once a week I get asked if I do coaching. And the answer up to now is I'm happy to meet with you. I've got the margin. I've earned the right to do what I want when I want. I don't have to do it because there's a financial gain or ROI. And for years, I looked at my day planner and I would play the dollar productive hour per hour game. Who's played that game out? Like, how much is this behavior or activity worth per hour? And then decide whether I do it now, later, or never. And this is an important thing, by the way, to make sure you're internalizing when you look at how you invest your time. Your success or failure directly correlates to your day plan. And if you handed me your day planner, I can probably predict what your income or potential growth is. And if I can't, if I looked at your last year or two, I bet I can conjure a story of, you're not necessarily the result or end game, but whether you're maximizing potential. Is that fair and reasonable and probably true? That's a yes.
Yes.
Neurolinguistics. I see heads moving. Thank you. And so the idea behind quarterly coaching is that you get one-on-one time with me. And again, I've always kind of punted down the field whether, do I really want to invest a lot of time for a few $100 an hour or whatever coaches get today? And I just have never felt inclined to invest that kind of focused energy until this programming came along. And what I've learned too is that I personally will do things for other people that I will not do for myself. And I feel like your contribution into the programming has a lot to do with what you can do for other people that also benefits you. And so there's a coaching component. It's once a quarter, and it can be, as soon as you take the YOS assessment, I want to meet with you and I want to work through it and help understand where you're coming from and also lay the framework for this year. So hopefully inside of the first 30 days, you and I have a quality one-on-one hour. And hopefully after you've taken that assessment, which I think is a phenomenal tool. Any questions about the programming and how that works?
Just real quick, repeat the 4 components: the 1 hour monthly call, group call, the quarterly coaching. What are the other 2?
Pods. I'm going to break you into a board of directors, a group of 4 to 5 people that you'll meet with every other week for about an hour. It doesn't have to, again, there's a lot going on my spreadsheet. Like, if you saw this, there's a lot going on, but I don't want it to eat up a lot of your time. This is like on your business time so that you can go back and be more intentional when you're in your business. And truthfully, exchange the word business for life. I want this to be holistic. So business is a part of it, but I think my humble opinion of business is it's a place to experience relationships and grow, and then to create funding for the perfect life. But if all you did was create funding, you're not going to have the perfect life. And so my idea and belief is that it's about recognizing all 12 categories. And I want to, again, that's my goal, is to help you do it. So the 4th is quarterly coaching. The golden accountability platform is the 3rd spoke in the value wheel. The pods, or the small group for Transformation for Good, is the 2nd, and then the once a month Zoom. And by the way, if the scheduling doesn't favor you, I have to pick a day. We have to do it. I think there's real power in us doing this together. But if for some reason life gets in the way and you don't have sacred time for it, I'm going to record all of them. And we're recording this one. In fact, I guarantee there's 25 more people that would have loved to have been here that missed it. That if by the way, anyone that would be served well with this experience, I'm gonna publish the recording. Just forward it to them or make them aware of it, and I'll send it. So there's that. I've talked about the one sheet. In light of our time, I was going to illustrate how the breakouts might work with a real world example, but I want to be respectful and stop on time. And I said 10 to 11, leaving 10 minutes. What I would have done had I had more time is given everybody the wheel of life, had you rate 1 to 10, and then put a plus or minus out beside each of the categories, whether you're ahead or behind your intended goal for last year. Like, did you improve, stay the same, or maybe slid or fell short of what you wanted? And then what would the ideal number be in 12 months? Like, how much better do you anticipate with intentional focus and the mindset around progress, not perfection, to where do you want to land? To expose, and the idea there would be to expose a gap. And then what I thought we would do is in that breakout, we would use the word, you guys have used the, maybe you haven't. And by the way, I've learned too that learning's layered, not linear, and reminders are king. And don't make assumptions about what other people know or don't know. But one great networking reminder or tool is the word Ford. Who knows what Ford stands for? It's an acronym. Iman, you want to speak up and risk it?
Yes.
Jenny's in it.
Ford is family, occupation, recreation, and dreams.
Yeah, exactly right. So next time, just know we're going to break out into small groups, and I want you guys to start connecting with each other. I see Nancy. You're in Florida, right? So those of you that know, man, there's probably a few more Florida folks connected here. The Inspire Network's growing. And so how cool is it to be in a network of people where you now might find a really trusted advisor or support person for a referral? And so that's just the byproduct and the potential of connecting with people that you know and trust. Who better to send a referral to than someone who shows up with a win the day mentality, do the right thing, make a difference for all the right reasons, who are ultimately, high level professionals. So that's who I want. You're my avatar. So then what I would have you do is just share a little bit about your family or what's your personal construct, organization, which office are you with, what role do you have? Because I'm including lenders and realtors because we're all fighting the same fight, and we all, your database is your business, and building relationships, adding value, and creating strong bonds is the secret sauce. And so we all have the same MO. Recreation, what do you do when you're not in your occupation hat or wearing your occupation, sitting in your occupation seat? And then the last one's dreams. And, what's your hope for the next 12 months? And how could this program and your intentional focus throughout the entire year really help you land this plane in the winner's circle? And so if we had more time, that's what I would have done. Just know that's coming and we will do it. I've done a lot of talking. Anybody have any thoughts or shares or ahas along the way?
I do, actually. I read your book, which by the way was amazing. So if anyone hasn't read his book, you should get his book, because it's definitely like pulls this all together, but it's so good. I already sent it to one of my daughters in Colorado.
Thank you.
So yeah, definitely just had to put that out there.
You're awesome. Thanks for doing that. And, a lot of this lends itself to who I am. And my goal, even when writing the book, was, just to be authentic and recognize flaws and gifts and wins and not so great moments, because we all have them. That was beautiful. Thank you, Nancy.
All your information's in the book too, with all the charts and everything that you're talking about. So if someone
exactly
there, it explains how you do it. You can do it for you. It's amazing.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And you can go to rickhill.com, by the way, and download all of it, or to Daniela's credit for having put it here. The Wheel of Life is here. That's one step and one piece of the puzzle. And also a blank copy, like I said, of the one sheet, which I don't think I went into detail about the one sheet in the book. That's a whole nother level of, I guess, a mature approach to analyzing where you are and where you're going. And also to get cleared, that whole financial section at the top is all about recognizing, what is your capacity to create more margin so that you can make choices that are not driven by needing to make money or your job, if you will. And so what I want you to hear, though, is that I think we're all authors. I think everyone on this call showed up purpose built and were inspired for some reason, and that every day is a page in your book. My challenge is, how many days in the next 12 months can we make worthy of publishing in your book versus tearing up and redoing? How many publishable experiences? That means the good, the bad, and the ugly, not just the wins. Like, how many days really have resonant energy that someone in your sphere, your world, your kids, your kids' kids, a friend, a family member needs to hear it because it's an inspired moment of truth. It's not just espousing a formula for success, which we all been indoctrinated with formulas for success. But if you haven't experienced it at a 10 plus level, that means it's not as relatable or it's not as engageable as it needs to be. So I want this to be simple. I want it to be, I didn't say easy, but simple. I want to simplify this whole process. Some of the content, it might be worthy to hear. I'm excited about Gary Sanchez talking about how big whys and understanding your why is paramount to leveling up. The following section, we're going to talk about one sheets, goal setting, and how, understanding GPS operates on two coordinates, where you are and then where you want to go, identifying the gap, and then what are the executables to help you achieve that success over the gap. The third one, I want to talk about health, fitness, and hacks for living a better physical life on Earth. You can't show up if you feel, crappy emotionally, physically. You just can't. So I want a whole session just on health, and not just physical health, but mental health and motivation and mindfulness. The next section, I want to talk about expanding relationships and roles with people in your sphere, not just, external, but internal, like the people closest to you. How do we elevate conversations? How do we comfortably exhibit a disproportionate interest in others without compromising our goals? How do you show up without fear that you're missing something that then robs you of being present? And so that's part of that fourth session. The next session is about interrelationships, romance, connecting in an intimate way, with family, friends, and kids. And like, what does that look like? That's a weird topic, isn't it? So it is, but it isn't. And so as I grow and mature in my role and relationship as a husband and a father and as a friend, like, what can I do to intentionally magnify the impact of that? And, I believe that the law of reciprocity is alive and well. You'll never get back more than you give. And so how do we collectively give more in that regard? And then the next session is all about bucket list adventures and thinking bigger. What does really putting it out there look like? And what does living regret-free mean? I read a book called Die with Zero, and I'll summarize it by simply saying it's all about living life today, but not forgetting that tomorrow matters. Because I don't know about you, but modern medicine may take us to 100, 110. Like, if they figure out cancer and a few, these things that just show up that seem to cut life short, it's not inconceivable that you eliminate a few things. Now, what it doesn't necessarily do is mean that you're physically empowered to endure. And who wants to live to 110 and be incapacitated? And so living a regret-free life today is awesome, but packing a parachute and a plan for the long run is a beautiful thing too. And I want to hit on all of that. And then also included in that is, what does rewiring look like? And how does parlaying a lot of effort today, the grind you've done now and in the past, how do you parlay that into a margin-rich, incredible landing? Does any of this sound intriguing? Is it important? I hope so.
Yes.
The eighth session is going to be on money and building and preserving wealth, protecting, preserving, and growing it. And so, financial life by design, that's going to be a fun session. The following is going to be about winning the fourth quarter big. What does it look like to eliminate obstacles and the noise that seem to always show up late in the year? And so I'm excited about that. And then the following month's going to be about, it's the giving month. It's, we land in October. Actually, October is about legacy. And then the 11th month is gratitude. We vote up our charities and decide where to dispense and disperse money. And we talk about, how do we make a difference in our world, in our community? And it's not money. It could be time and energy. I can't wait to have that discussion. And then in December, I thought it might be cool to have an in-person, I'm not sure how we do this with multi-state but maybe there's a celebration of experience and we share our pluses, minuses, and the lessons learned and help co-create maybe doing this again in 27. So that's what I have on my list. If you in the spirit of true collaboration and hearing all of that, if there's a topic, an area, or an idea, just share it with me. I would be absolutely delighted to magnify the experience by honoring your brilliant ideas. I've got like a minute. Any other ahas or thoughts or questions about what's next or what happens?
I have a cool question.
Bring it on, Vinny.
Hey, how are you, Rick?
I'm on cloud nine.
Amen, amen. I like the beer, bro. It's different.
Yeah, it's my best Hemingway thing down here in
Okay,
Florida.
okay. So what I'm wondering is with my big why, how I can make it more than like money and things. Um, I don't know because like right now I'm aiming for some financial goals and people say like it should be so powerful it makes you cry.
Hmm.
I don't have a why like that yet.
So that's an incredible question. And I would speculate incredibly common. Like we all have whys, like because it's a role or responsibility or an
Mhm.
assumed position. Like
Right.
as a human being, man, woman, whatever you look in the mirror, who you are, you're going to make assumptions about, this is where I'm supposed to go because, and it could be external versus internal. And so what I believe, Vinny, is that this YOS assessment is going to give me the ammunition, the tool, the backdrop, the information to be able to ask you good questions that'll
Mhm.
hopefully help you evolve into a place where there's emotional context
Okay.
attached to your goals. The word motion is in the word emotion. And if
Right.
in your own conversations with yourself, you're not, there's not an element of fear or uncertainty or excitement all wrapped up, it may not be the big why portion of the world that you need to move towards. It may just be an intellectual pursuit. Intellectual pursuits don't accompany emotional energy. And I also believe that if you really want to connect with clients and your family at a higher level, have conversations that move from the head to the heart in a way that become vulnerable. And so that's another area that I think I can help you. I've worked hard at it my whole life and a lot of therapy, a lot of self-reflection, and a lot of books and material. And I'm a student of the game of psychology. And to be honest, this pursuit is part of my big why. It's to prove I can and prove myself right, that people will show up and that it has value and that you'll walk away a better human being and that our collective energy will that remember I said earlier the reciprocity piece. I just want to be so proud of you that I can't help but feel great about myself.
Amen. That's awesome.
Uh,
Thank you.
yeah.
Well, it comes from the heart. I mean it. I mean it. Again,
Yeah,
I'd
it
rather have
shows.
10 people committed to that path than 100 that are just, being nice and want to just not, be nice to Rick Day. Uh, there's other ways to be nice to Rick. This is a different level of commitment and connection, and I want to prove it right. Any other questions? That was a great question.
Yeah, Rick, I'm gonna jump in and thank you, Vinny, for that question. I think for being transparent. I think all of us at one point struggle with our why. So thank you for being transparent with that. My question simply is, and I probably know the answer to this already, and maybe it's already covered. Is this open to just Keller Williams agents in terms, or is people in the real estate industry or outside the real estate industry?
Yeah, I wrestled with that. And because it's kind of a test pilot, I thought I'd start with people that I know and love that are kind of connected or the tribe and then see where it goes. Now, I have this prayer, and it's God, give me the wisdom and the courage to act on it. And so when that prayer landed, recently about who to open it up to, the answer was anybody that's got the right attitude and energy. I don't really it's not about I said earlier, the avatar, that's just a perfect image of what I'm chasing. The reality is anyone that shows up with a willful heart and a contributory attitude that makes our environment better. And so I don't care what company you're with for sure. But the reason I thought realtor and lender, as I said earlier, is we just have to hunt to eat. I want people that wake up every day that if you don't get up and you don't make quality connections and illustrate value and show up for people, you probably aren't going to earn commission. You're probably going to have to find a new career. And so I like that person because that DNA usually shows up as I can't give away what I don't have. How do I create more value to my clients? And it's not just intellectual knowledge around real estate. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
So
totally.
lenders, realtors, those are ideal because again, they're usually striving for better and different and bigger. But I'm okay with somebody that needs to be here, bring them.
Thank you, sir.
How- Awesome. Good question. What other area did I miss? I'm about 4 minutes over, but hopefully these questions are important. And your question is probably someone else's question that they just haven't thought to ask yet. Any ahas? Any takeaways? Like anybody see potential that this might help them?
I love
That's
the giving back portion. That's not really talked about that much. I mean, tithing, of course, if you believe in Jesus and stuff, but but like giving back to the community, I think that's great.
cool. And you get to help me decide. And
Yeah,
if I,
that's unheard of. That's awesome.
yeah, that is, thanks. Someone on a text chain yesterday, it's a leadership text chain, and I don't even know this person yet. They're in Florida, but they were like, dude, how old are you? Like, it made me laugh. Like I'm 90 and I got nothing better to do. I'm 60 and I could, Bob and Kay started the region, the Southeast region back in 1999. They were 60 years old and 61, I think, when like, it's never too late to build an empire. And you can do it in far less time than you think if you're intentionally focused. And it blows my mind that they did it at 60 because I have to admit, I'm not sure my level of passion would be where they were then to start from zero. Zero. And I mean, it's impressive. So I'm not 80, thankfully. I'm 60. I got a lot of runway. And I could go start more businesses or do things. This is just, again, I'm listening to my heart and I'm listening to my head and I'm merging those two into this program. And I want to prove it right. And those of you who are willing to do it with me, I promise there's value. And I can't wait to experiment and make it even better. And so when you do sign up at transformationforgood.org, again, you go through the sign in, you're going to instantly get 3 emails. One's going to be a receipt for your investment, whether it's the 149, I'm going to give it a quick try, or commitment monthly, or 1,500, save me a few bucks. I'm buying the year because I believe in it. You'll get a receipt. Then you'll get a welcome message with some links and then a CODA invitation. The CODA invitation, I've got a video that you'll get of where my coach and I worked through this earlier this week to walk you through how to sign up for that landing page where you can track results and upload all of your goals. And it's not only for you to stay in a safe, sacred place and for you to revisit and reflect. There's also, by the way, a total score for your wheel. That's a new thing I've never done. I'm excited about the total score theory, aspect. And I'm able to jump into your section when we coach, and I can literally go straight to not what I think you need, but what you tell me you want. And that's kind of an exciting reality too, from a coach's chair. So there's a whole setup, and it's not complicated, but there's like 3 steps or 4 steps because it's integrating into those 3 platforms I shared earlier. And so we've made it as streamlined as we can, but it takes a few things. I've got a video explaining it and a printed explanation that you can walk 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so once you're set up, you never have to do it again. Every week when you get a reminder to go rescore and recalibrate, there's a link. You just click it, you'll pop right into your page. So that's exciting. I'll also be sending a subsequent email with a link to the Big Y assessment so that you take that. Because I'm not an approved coach for his system, which is a whole process, it's not going to come to me. It'll go back to you. So you'll get it, and then you'll have to share it and upload it into the CODA system. So it stays in that, again, on your landing page. It's that simple. 3 emails, sign up for CODA, and then I'm going to also be publishing my calendar for your first coaching call. I'm 8 minutes over. I apologize, but I am so grateful you're here. And I can't wait to see the things we do together. And I can't wait to show and share the impact you're going to have on some really, really, really deserving young people that just don't wake up on third base, that don't necessarily have easy street laid out in front of them. And I can't wait to also work on a plan to distribute the other half of the money to people that you believe in and organizations, so that the collaboration piece shows up as a we, not a me. Cool?
Thank you so much, Rick.
You're very
Rick,
welcome.
appreciate it, man.
Thank you, Rick.
Thanks, Rick.
My heart sings that you're here.
Thanks,
Let's go
Rick.
do something awesome.
Yes, sir.
All right. See ya.